Hi guys, it's CalamitiesDawn here and welcome back to episode 11. So carrying on from episode 10 where we defeated the Ender Dragon in probably what I would consider one of the laziest ways, I have decided that I'm going to go straight into one of the end gateways and try and find an end city to get an Elytra. So I completely forgot how trapdoors work and how they work to get you in here, but I eventually got here. Now, fun thing is that I go through and I explore this place, and it's a lot different because we have better end installed, just like we have better nether. But with having better end installed, we also have some new tree types that we can grab and explore. So I pretty much just spend most of like the first half of this section just grabbing new logs and stuff. I actually will eventually have to come back and grab some of the leaf types because we have some interesting projects that will need them. But I found this ruined end ship, which I thought maybe we would have been able to find some Elytra in, but there's no loot generated in these places at all. I don't know if it's meant to be that way or if it's just a glitch or something wrong there. I then found like a little hut, which I thought was quite interesting. We got some thaliacine items out of it. I also found another one of these abandoned ships. Now I go and explore a couple of these, hoping maybe we'll get an Elytra or some sort of loot out of them, which unfortunately is never the case. We don't actually get anything out of them at all. So I don't know if it's meant to be that way or if it's just something unfortunate in my case. I then try to make my way over to this little building in hopes that something will go well. That Enderman that I circled, he ends up coming back to get his revenge on me. At this point, I had no idea that I'd upset him until here. I died in the void. And I am still, to this point, very frustrated because I lost my very OP Prometheum sword. I found a portal on the way back, which wasn't there last time because I took a different way. And this time when I was building up, I was trying to be very careful not to bother the Enderman over near the side that our previous Enderman friend got frustrated with us for. So I make my way in here and decide to have a little look around, see what there is here. There's a whole bunch of these barrels and shulker box chests that I go through and loot. Most of the loot here is pretty much the same, mostly iron, gold, and sticks, as well as some chorus fruit. But I decided to go through and explore the place anyway, in case of maybe I might be lucky enough to find an enchanted book. Because I don't know what new enchantments there are. There could be tons that spawn in these places. I found a random ender chest, which I do nothing with. I end up grabbing a key here, which to this day, after going through the footage, I don't know what happened to that ominous key. I'm assuming it's ominous key. I could be wrong. But going through that actually led me with a map to an end castle. So the end castle is one of the new structures that has been added in one of the mods. I'm pretty sure it's the Dungeons and Taverns mod. I could be wrong. It could be Young's better end structures. I'm not too sure. I don't remember. I am fairly certain it's Dungeons and Taverns though. But I go through, and so I don't have all of the looting shown in this video, mainly because there was so much looting that I was kind of like, I wouldn't want to sit here and watch all of it either. But I did want to show you all the little nooks and crannies that this place has because it is huge. And the amount of shulker shells that I come back with is ridiculous. I actually had to come back here 3 or 4 times purely because I was just getting swamped and my backpack was so full that I didn't have any more room. So I had to go back home, dump it off, and come back. I also had to come back a couple of extra times anyway because there is a boss at the top of this end castle that you need to drop a special key, an ominous key I think they are, to get access to the vaults that will drop Elytra. And so when I had first made my way up there, You know what? We'll just wait till we get to that point. You'll see it, and you'll have to understand how frustrated I am. But we did go through and we killed a whole bunch of shulkers. We got a whole bunch of these vault keys. And I went through and just grabbed whatever it gave us because I was happy to just do that, I suppose. And the funny thing is this would be our first interaction with vault keys, and it's not from a vault. Or trial chamber, that's what they're called. Our first access to trial keys and vaults is all from a different expansion other than Minecraft's standard trial chambers. So, I do eventually plan on going through a trial chamber. It's just going to take time. I have other things on my mind. And at this point, I really, really wanted to get an Elytra. I actually do have to find another one of these because I'm pretty sure there's only like 1 or 2 end ships that have the required vaults that will drop an Elytra. So I think I'll have to find another one. I don't know. I'll work that out when I get to it next. But I do want to get another one as well, just so we have a spare in case something goes wrong and I lose my first one. But I go through here and I just explore the whole area and I make my way up the central tunnel. So these spawners will sometimes be very slow at spawning the shulkers, but once they do, I go and kill a whole bunch of shulkers and go and check and see if any keys had been popped out. Some of them didn't pop out because I didn't end up finding the shulkers that were attached to that corresponding one, which is fine. So that Afraid of Heights advancement is because I killed the boss phantom that spawns, and I believe it's called a nightmare. So here I am jumping up, climbing up on all of them. As you can see, there is a key there. An ominous key is sitting right there. I had to zoom in on it because what happens next is I am so focused on killing all of the other mobs all around me that I'm not realizing that the time it takes is for it to stay there is deciding to it's going to despawn. The time is ticking down. And at this point too, because I'd forgotten that I just killed it and there is a timer, I am taking forever trying to climb up this makeshift staircase. And by the time I get there, it despawns because I take too long. So I wanted to leave this snippet in so that we could see roughly how many items I had grabbed on our venture to the end castle, which there is a fair amount. I then decide I'm going to take a break because at this point I realized my mistake. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to make a kitchen. Now, the reason why I wanted to make a kitchen was because I was running out of Minecraft food that would give me a decent amount of saturation for us to go on longer adventures. So I decided I'm going to make a kitchen. Because we have Croptopia as a mod, I can make tons of different types of food that will give us more saturation than normal. So, kitchen it was. The first set of furniture I used was pretty cool, but when I found that this was an option, I preferred that I'd get that because it looked better. After doing that, I made myself some burgers. I can't remember what type of burgers they are, but I made burgers. I then decided I was going to go back to the end castle, and this time I was going to defeat this nightmare, and I was going to stay on top of that platform so I couldn't miss the key. But first, I had to get rid of a whole bunch of endermites and shulkers because, well, the thing is all the other timers reset as well. So I had to wait. So I went ahead and just killed everything here. I kind of just get a whole bunch of damage onto me at this point, but here it is. It spawns. And I decided to take it out. The only really frustrating bit was waiting for it to stop being invisible because I couldn't see it very well. Sometimes I was able to get shots on it, and sometimes I couldn't, so it all varies. But with it also being so far away, I couldn't see its health. I then went to one of the ships. There's a big ship and there's 2 little ships. I don't know if the 2 little ships will give me an Elytra if I have one of the keys, but we'll work that out another time. But I went and killed these guys because they're in the way. And then, after grabbing my precious loot, I finally used an end ship key. And we'll see our lovely Elytra pop out, so I was so happy to have that finally. And this would be the first time I've actually ever had an Elytra as well. I really haven't done much in terms of Minecraft. I've played it for years, but I never really go to the end or do anything like that. So this is quite different. After doing all that, I decided, you know what? I haven't fully built out my village yet, but I need a whole bunch of villagers because we're going to need some books. And a lot of them. I also end up realizing later that some of the villagers that I grabbed in our mob leads are no use because they're stuck to certain professions. But first one I got was Silk Touch, and then I got Looting, a Looting 1 book. Then I got the Mending. A lovely villager with our Mending. A Mending enchantment is great. I do have a couple of other enchantments set in, but the first thing I wanted to do was go and put Mending straight on my Elytra. And I was like, ooh, look at me, I have an Elytra. And then I realized I have a cow backpack on the top, so you can't see it. But I ended up getting, I can't remember what the cape's called now, but I have both that one and the light blue one, I think. But I was quite happy to show off my cape. And then I went off and explored with my Elytra. At this point, I didn't realize that it probably wasn't a good idea because I don't have Unbreaking on it, but I worked that out eventually and go back home. I then ended up grabbing some sharpness, some vein mining, and I decided to take a tour to the Nether. At this point, I'm still figuring out how my little flying escapades work because I have never used an Elytra before, so this is all brand new territory to me. But I found this place over here, which I was going to have a look at and view. I'm pretty sure we've had a look at one of these places before, but I thought, why not let's go through this one as well and just see what there is. I was quite excited to find that netherite pick though, because that was quite exciting to discover. Here I am trying to block off a hole. It's not going very well. But I would pretty much go through nearly every part of it and explore all of it, just to see if there's any interesting loot. I also like the fact that we get a whole bunch of ancient debris. I have no idea what that wither skeleton was doing on top of the light source, but hey, each to their own, I suppose. I then also found a diamond pick, but it had nothing on it that was interesting enough to me, especially assuming we just found a netherite one as well. So that's always handy to have a spare one. So, I use these materials to just go through and bridge across so I could get over and check this half. I also found this little camp off into the distance, which I have no idea what it is. But, well, we go and check it out when we get the chance, because it's a new thing in the Nether that I've never seen before. I then decided I needed to get past, but this piglin was pretty much just stopping me from moving, which was quite frustrating. I also take all of the crying obsidian and blue obsidian and normal obsidian because I have a project coming up that I needed all of it for. I needed a hell of a lot of it, which even after collecting everything that I have here, it wasn't enough. I actually had to come back later on and get more because I just didn't have enough. I then do a little glide over here to see what this little camp is and what it's for. I find a couple of maps in here, well, a map I should say in here, which is a nether skeleton map tower, which I've never seen before, and we never will see. Not unless if we find another map. Because, well, I make a oops. I make a terrible oops. I'm still getting really frustrated at myself for what happens next, because what happens next is an utter sheer mistake on my part, because I still don't really understand how to get the rockets to work with Elytra, but yeah, I go for a swim. But that's not the worst part of it. I get out of here. The next part is what makes it worse. I'm just regretting the fact that I even did this, because just remembering this whole section and remembering what happened, I I mean, it's a great way to end the ending of the episode, because we are getting to the end of the episode, and this is like the perfect way to do it, is by having a silly oops. But I am still frustrated at myself for doing this. I don't click the rockets in time. And I land in a hole where there's barely anything I can get to. But I make the smart decision of putting my backpack down and putting all of my valuables in there, including my elytra. I made the smart decision. I could have been very stupid. So I only have a couple of hearts left. I went to go pick it up and put it on my back, and I was like, nope. I quickly put in my elytra, and I was like, well, we'll die, and I'll come back and grab it all later. Oh, I'm still so frustrated at myself for this. I do make my way back over after bridging it, and I have most of my things survive. Thank God the backpacks survive, and everything netherite is fireproof, but my God, was that an oops. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.